Buongiorno, do il benvenuto ad Adina-Ioana VİNLEAN, Commissaria Europea per i Trasporti. La decarbonizzazione dei trasporti è fondamentale per raggiungere la neutralità climatica entro il 2050. Welcome, Commissioner, and thank you for joining us at the RCS Academy Green Talk. I start from the first question. Qual è la strategia europea per rendere più sostenibile la mobilità?
Well, if I would be to summarize our strategy with 82 action plans, in a few words, I would say that what we need is clean fuels, greener vehicles, efficient and digitalized traffic management systems, and appropriate infrastructure. All these are absolutely needed for our whole system to deliver on what was asked for us, meaning to cut with 90% the emissions from transport until 2050. Now, if I may give some examples, depending on all transport modes we are talking about. If I am, for example, to look at road transportation. For road transportation, what we have today in Europe is that the number or the infrastructure for recharging points for electric vehicles, it's insufficient by comparison with the number of electric vehicles existing on the market. What we propose as European Commission is a regulation on alternative fuel infrastructure, which says a minimum of X recharging points or refueling for hydrogen are needed on the public infrastructure, so that we break the vicious circle was first the egg or the chicken. So we need to have infrastructure to support the uptake of electric vehicles. Now, what does it mean in practice? In practice, it means that we are asking member states to install at least 1 kilowatt per each electric vehicle we have, plus 0.66 kilowatts for each hybrid car existing on the market. And then on the main roads, meaning on the road infrastructure of Europe, at least each 60 kilometers, people should find a recharging point with this type of capacities. So then this is a way to encourage the uptake of the electric vehicles and hydrogen vehicles for our roads. Italy itself has 30,000 points of recharging, which is good, but there is still a room of improvement. And by the other hand, regarding, for example, hydrogen, there is only one refueling point in Italy. It shows that there is still a lot to be done. But with the current government securing already co-funding from one of the instruments we make available at European level, meaning the Alternative Fuel Infrastructure Facility Fund, we have Italy already securing 130 million euros for co-funding for installing this capacity. So I would say things are moving very well in this respect. If I am to talk about rail, because rail is the most sustainable transport mode, there again we are betting on an electrification. But for rail, what we have noticed is that for people, they need speed and comfort in order to prefer trains to our transport modes. In Italy, I've noticed that for more than 300 kilometers journeys, 16% of people prefer to take the train. And this is higher than the European average, which is 11%. So also for rail, if we invest in digitalization, in speed, and we are requiring a minimum of 160 kilometers per hour as speed for rail, I think things are going to move in the right direction.
Thank you, Commissioner. Abbiamo parlato dell'elettrificazione prevalentemente dei trasporti, ma che ruolo possono giocare i carburanti alternativi verdi?
Indeed, alternative fuels are very important. I have mentioned already as part of the solution for having a more sustainable mobility system in Europe. Now, while for road and rail, electrification is the obvious choice, For maritime and aviation, the so-called hard to decarbonize transport systems, alternative fuels are the future. Now, unfortunately, in Europe, we have only 0.1% of alternative fuels for aviation, for example. We have asked through regulation an obligation to energy providers that when they provide when they provide fuel for jets, for example, in the airports, to blend it, the classic ones, with alternative fuels. And we are hoping by creating this kind of obligation, which means X%, which is going to raise in time, we are giving the right direction, incentives, and we are creating the demand for alternative fuels so that the market for producing these alternative fuels is going to develop. What is interesting is that these alternative fuels, if I can give you the example of Italy, they are already used. I'm very pleased to see, for example, the initiative of ITA and Fiumicino Airport. They are already using alternative fuels for some of their routes. And also what is very important as a model is that these alternative fuels are produced in your country. So we have an estimation that the growth of alternative fuels for aviation, creating a market, this will mean also around or more than 200,000 jobs, new jobs created just for this kind of industry to produce alternative fuels. And then for maritime, what we are asking is that ships will use a mix of fuels so that they maintain the emissions under a certain threshold, basically reducing the emission. There are other important initiatives. Also, if I can give an example from Italy, I've noticed there are, for example, the hybrid ferries leaving from Livorno or Savona towards the Spanish ports. This kind of initiatives are showing that also the shipping industry itself is moving without an obligation towards a more sustainable maritime operations.
La Commissione quindi sta facendo molto, ma cosa dovrebbero fare gli Stati membri per incoraggiare la decarbonizzazione dei trasporti?
As I said, but I should re-emphasize is investing in infrastructure, appropriate infrastructure, investing in digitalization, investing in greener vehicles, investing in alternative fuels. And what I wanted to say here is there are a lot of financial opportunities right now for investing in this more innovative future of transport. Apart from the funds existing in the regular multi-annual financial framework of European Union, now we have these national plans for recovery and resilience. And I have noticed that all member states have put an important emphasis on investments in transport and its sustainability. But the best one doing is Italy, with nearly 40 billion euros in grants for transport investments. And this is a huge plus. I know that Italy added or committed from national funding more than 20 billion euros also. So this shows a lot of interest and opportunities in financing these new projects. I also know that, for example, if we look at our cities, where the mobility should be more sustainable, I know that Italy, for example, committed 8.4 billion to refurbish 5,000 buses to make them electrical, for example. And this is one of the examples what member states are intending to do for creating a more sustainable transport inside cities. And also, I know there is a planned investment at 1.4, I think, billion euros in recharging points. So all this is really encouraging, and it shows this is the trend for investments and making the basis for the changes in the way we connect and travel in Europe.
Thank you for your time. Grazie alla commissaria VãLEAN e io restituisco la parola ai miei colleghi. Grazie ancora.